Hey guys, I'm Luke Ferguson. Here alongside me is Jake Torres. 2 weeks ago we had about a 20-minute long football podcast with Hunter Worley and Jake Riffle. Today we are going to be covering Vista Volleyball and see where they are in standings and how they're looking for the upcoming playoffs. So
That's right. We're mainly going to be focusing on 5 teams, this being Castleview, Highlands Ranch, Rock Canyon, Mountain Vista, and Rocky Mountain.
Yep.
Both of these teams have been predicted to do very well in the playoffs by both the Denver Post and Max Preps. Top 3 teams, of course, being Castleview, Mountain Vista, Highlands Ranch. With that, some of the things we're going to look at is just win-to-loss ratio, how teams have been doing so far in their season, and how some of the coaches think that their teams will do.
Yep. So at the moment, as we see over here, in our Class 5A standings, Mountain Vista at the moment is seated 4th overall, and they're behind Castleview 1st, Chaparral 2nd, and then Highlands Ranch. And then right on their tail is Rock Canyon, who we mentioned is a tough rival. But what are you thinking for Vista in this right now?
You know, just based off of the Denver Post standings as well, they were posted as 3rd earlier. Of course, with this last weekend, we did see a couple changes with games played. In fact, Chaparral has made it into the 2nd position for playoff seasons. I do think Mountain Vista has a good chance. I was talking to their coach, Doug Schaefer, and one of the things he said is he thinks they could do very well as long as their team shows up and they give 100%, but he thinks if they do anything less than 100% effort, they won't go very far.
And you did mention that when you did talk to him, he said his team at times were finding a way to win when they were, at 70%, which, if you're winning, that's fine, but as you said,
these are the playoffs. You got to put everything out for them. If we are to look at, Castleview, Mountain Vista, and Highlands Ranch have all played each other so far. The interesting thing is Mountain Vista lost to Castleview, but won against Highlands Ranch, and Highlands Ranch won against Castleview, but lost to Mountain Vista. So it's kind of a rock, paper, scissors scenario for these 3 teams. It could go any way. Mountain Vista and Castleview, who, of course, Castleview is predicted to be first in the playoffs, actually had a very interesting game where the final score was 3-2 Castleview, so Mountain Vista could have easily beat them.
Yes. They have the team for it. It's just how they want to play in the postseason. So, tomorrow night, Vista has a pretty big home game against Rock Canyon. And what do you think we'll see in that game?
Really what I think we'll see in that game is just because, Rock Canyon is one of the teams we're going to talk about, but they're not really that big of a threat. Both the Denver Post and Max Preps have kind of have put them lower on the prediction chart. I do have a couple quotes from their coach, where when we asked her who she thought the biggest threat to their team was, this is Coach Hansen for Rock Canyon. She replied with, "This is hard to answer since volleyball playoffs are considered regionals. So we play different teams each year in regionals, and those are based on rankings. I think the biggest rival we have in general is probably Mountain Vista. We continue to compete with them each year at a very high level, and this year will be no different. Additionally, a lot of teams in our league are very strong teams, so our regular season games are really important when it comes to ranking for the postseason."
Yeah, so when you think of Rock Canyon, their biggest component right now is getting up to Mountain Vista. We're kind of holding them off to the side for now, but mainly worrying about those teams above us. But really, if they can come out with a win, Rock Canyon tomorrow night, that can put some damage into the standings, which Vista didn't really hope for. But Vista, with Denver Post, and most people would think they would come out on top.
For sure, at the games that I've been to with Mountain Vista, some of the things that I've noticed for them as well is that they have a very strong set of servers and spikers, but sometimes their left side defense when trying to just go for that ball is kind of weak. So if they can really work on just guarding that side, Rock Canyon will definitely have a harder time with them, because as Coach Hansen mentioned as well in our interview, they're trying to work on their skill sets and just their serves.
Yeah.
So if Mountain Vista can defend against those serves on the left side, they should do very well.
And we mentioned that playoffs are just around the corner. We look at the schedule here. They still have 4 games remaining, but they're all in this week. So it's going to be a pretty jam-packed week for Mountain Vista. They're probably going to want to pull hard, strong through the postseason. They have Rock Canyon, Legend, Bear Creek, and how do you say that one?
Devlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, it's when you look at standings, Rock Canyon is the only one they're worried about. The last 3 are kind of in Schaefer's eyes, you'd think must-wins. Rock Canyon is probably the hardest one, so that they get that over with tomorrow night. Then they have the rest of the week, and then at the moment, playoff predictions, Castleview, as we mentioned, was number 1, and Mountain Vista actually is number 2. So they're 4th right now, but they're predicted to be 2nd in the postseason. So we'll see if that plays out.
I think it could. One thing that both things have in common is just that Castleview is in first on both the playoff predictions, which if you look at them, they've had a very strong season so far. One of their only 2 losses has been to Highlands Ranch, like I said, which Mountain Vista's beaten, and their game with Castleview was very close, so it's a very good sign that Mountain Vista could actually come in first if they do end up making it to that final game against Castleview.
Yeah, and who knows, like in postseason, crazy things happen. Castleview can get, upset first round by, some of these teams down below, Fossil Ridge, Chatfield, Legend, like some of those lower seeds. Anything can happen, really, but...
Exactly, but just going off of normal seasons... Yeah, these are the teams that we think will do the best. Castleview, of course, has the best overall record with the 15-2 loss ratio. And then Mountain Vista and Rock Canyon are actually tied right now with a 13-3 win-to-loss ratio. Highlands Ranch has a 14-2. Of course, Highlands Ranch is now in the 5th spot. The previous week, they were actually in the 2nd spot on Max Prep's prediction. So
and Rock Canyon's actually 3rd. So.
Yeah, Rock Canyon has also moved up. Last week, I believe they were in 5th or 6th. So it definitely shows that these last final games are definitely going to change these playoff predictions. So we'll definitely see how they go in. But as long as, like Coach Schaefer says, Mountain Vista shows all their effort in these last couple games, they'll have a pretty good spot to start off in.
And I say it starts with tomorrow night. I mean, if you have a bad game, Vista, tomorrow night, you still have 3 games to recover. But I think if you ask the players, tomorrow's the game they're worried about. And same with Rock Canyon, because they'll make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure, but they'd probably want that higher seed rather than more in the middle where they are right now.
For sure. Like we've been saying, these are just our personal predictions. We've been researching the teams for about a week. But a lot is still changing. I believe that Castleview still has 4-3 matches left, and Highlands Ranch has 2 matches left. So it's definitely, we could see some change in the predictions for the playoffs, but at the moment, Castleview, Mountain Vista, Rock Canyon, and Highlands Ranch are definitely the teams that we're focusing on. They're definitely very strong teams, and I have seen them play before. I think as long as the coaches take into consideration the weaknesses of their teams and try to fix those, they'll be able to have pretty good matches.
That's what, they've already played most of these teams. Like, Vista's already played Rock Canyon, so if he knows something about them, like, they got practice tonight, I'm pretty sure, so he's going to be focusing on what they can do better and what they can do against Rock Canyon that'll help them out tomorrow night. Question for you. We talked to Coach Schaefer about, and other coaches actually, about the freshmen who have not, or sophomores, doesn't really matter, but the lower classmen that have not seen that many postseason appearances. How do you think the seniors will cope with them and making them as a team? Because this is the first chance for the freshmen.
Well, I think for sure as anyone kind of new to a high school sport, it can be intimidating to go into the playoffs. It definitely can. I think that the seniors, however, at least on Mountain Vista, I know will be trying to push them as hard as they can.
And they've had experience.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that this will be the last regionals for seniors in high school, they're definitely going to want to try to win and do as much as they can. They're definitely going to push the lower classmen to do that as well. They are a team and they have to work as a team. So if one end is slacking, it's not going to end up well for them in the playoffs.
What seniors do you think will be the ones to step up and, make the lowerclassmen part of the
Probably
team?
Jordan MacArthur, Sam Novak, and
Yeah.
Isabella Brown. They're definitely three of the best players on the team. Jordan MacArthur is definitely their best spiker, and Sam Novak and Bella Brown are very good servers and blockers.
We did speak with them in the beginning of the year.
We did, and they had very high hopes for their lowerclassmen, so it definitely shows that they're willing to work with them just so they can do well in the season.
And they said, we're going to come out, be leaders, which we've seen this year. They are the leaders of the team. But even some of the freshmen, they're doing a lot that they have a lot more years to come. So it's a good future for Vista, but for these seniors, I think... Did they win last year? I mean, they didn't. They got close.
They got close last year. They did not win.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, these are merely just predictions that we have. I think all these teams that we've mentioned today are very strong, and they'll definitely do well in the playoffs as long as they're willing to put out that effort. On that note,
I think we've covered it all.
Okay. Well then, I'm Jake Torres.
Luke Ferguson, thanks for tuning in to this volleyball podcast, and good luck to the Golden Eagles this last week and going into the postseason. Thanks.